Are you feeling like you're not good enough for anything? You've lost all the skill and the sparkle that you used to have. You really feel that no one's going to listen to you anymore. No one's going to hire you anymore. You feel anxious about everything, watching the news, listening to the news, seeing your friends on social media doing better than you. You've lost all your self-confidence. Well, I hear you. Menopause has a horrific effect on us in midlife. I'm going to share with you what I've learned about how it affects our self-confidence, but also 5 simple hacks on how you can regain your self-confidence and get yourself back out there. Hello, I'm Marvarine. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hello, thanks for finding me. Thanks for joining me. Who am I? Well, I'm a woman in my 50s. I'm a freelance journalist, 21 years in the business, a news broadcaster in the UK. I went from an awkward, geeky, nerdy teen to a national news broadcaster on television. I've had a lot of ups and downs, terrible times in love, but found my soulmate. My finances have been a total mess, and I've straightened those out, and I've reinvented my career and my working life multiple times. I'm also a brand new YouTuber, so here on this channel I am sharing the lessons that I have learned through my life, all of these 5 decades. I'm also sharing things that I love, and I'm also sharing things that I am learning now, so hopefully you can enjoy the journey too. The menopause does have a dreadful effect on feelings of anxiety and self-confidence. It's scientifically proven, and I'll share some of those facts with you in a moment, but the effect that it has had on me has been pretty horrific. About 18 months ago, menopause hit me like a truck. Although when I think back, maybe I was seeing some of those signs in my late 40s, but I was ignoring them. But I'd been getting a lot of irrational anger, being angry at my husband for absolutely no reason at all. And one day things came to the head when I was taking my mum to a hospital appointment, and miscommunication, I won't go into the story, but it ended up with me screaming and shouting at my poor elderly mum in a car park of a hospital. And I knew that wasn't me. That was never me. It's never been me. So the terror and the feelings of anger were very, very present, very, very prevalent. They then turned into serious self-doubt. I'd actually had probably self-doubt the entire year before, but just thought it was natural. I think I'd gotten very used to it. I was in a job where I felt very small, unconfident. I felt that I didn't deserve to be in the job, and I acted very timidly, didn't know how to hold conversations, even the smallest conversations with people in my workplace, which when I look back now was not me, and I don't even know where that came from. But it really kind of manifested itself inside of me. And those deep feelings of self-doubt really took hold within me. It's hard to even speak to the camera about it, because when I think back, I can't believe how much of a mouse I was when, for much of my life I've been able to have great banter with people, have great rapport, really feel quite comfortable in my own skin. And it just goes to show the effect that scientifically the menopause had on my body and my brain. Estrogen plays a crucial role in our mood. It influences serotonin, which is a neurotransmitter which is associated with our feelings of happiness and well-being. Aged in our 20s, our estrogen levels are at their peak. When we reach the menopause, late 40s, early 50s, that estrogen can have dropped by up to 50%. The estrogen levels decline throughout the menopause. It means our serotonin production fluctuates. It all contributes to anxiety, irritability, and low mood. And studies by source have shown that there really is a correlation between the declining estrogen levels and increased anxiety in us as menopausal women. So that's the science bit about how our hormones affect our brains as we move into the menopause, and how can we really bring back the self-belief that probably we had in our 20s and our 30s, and the drive we had and that desire to go out and do what we wanted to and feel invincible and be the best. We can bring that back. And actually, if you're watching and you probably think, well, I never really had that, how can I ignite it? Well, I've got 5 simple ways of things you can do to try and kickstart it in your life. And health warning, they're not going to be easy. They are going to be challenging. They're asking a lot of yourself. But if you are feeling low mood, you might be feeling depressed about the situation that you're in and wondering how on earth you're going to get out of it. Self-confidence really is the start, the bedrock of it all. How you feel about yourself, your self-worth, your self-belief. So let's manifest some of that and make some of that happen. But it does start with some real deep work. And we have to start with the pain, really, and we have to notice when we are listening too much to our inner critic, that little voice in our head that goes, oh, well, you can't do that, you're not as good as her. Or you get trapped in that doom scrolling on Instagram and you're like, well, look at her, she looks fabulous, she's lost all that weight, oh, she's in that new job, and why can't I get that new job? No, it's because I'm not good enough, because I'm not clever enough, or, I'm not successful enough. And you listen to those negative thoughts every day, but you don't stop them. It's not easy to stop them, but what you need to try and do first of all is to notice those negative thoughts and identify them. And it really is hard to notice and identify them and to come face to face with flaws that you think you have or that you've identified, because it means that you're going to be vulnerable, right? And who wants to be vulnerable? But vulnerable in the eyes of who? So you do fear being vulnerable in the eyes of other people. And of course then, in society, it's all about, hey, you need self-esteem, you need self-belief. Yeah, if you don't have self-belief, then you're not going to do anything. There is a pressure there. There is a truth there as well. But why let that truth stop you from betting on yourself? You never know what can happen. The most remarkable transformation could happen if you try with that first step. Notice your negative thoughts. Identify the negative thoughts. Get a pen and paper or whatever you like to do. I love a journal. Got a ton of them over there behind the camera. Write those negative thoughts down. It's going to be horrible confronting them, but then challenge yourself and go, well, what evidence have I got for that horrible thought? Why do I not think I'm good enough? Why do I not think I'm clever enough? And you might think you're not super clever. Whose measurements are you posting that by? Have you got your O levels, your A levels? I'm showing my age here, your GCSEs. Who says you have to have 8 or 10 of them? If you've got 5 or 6 of them, if you've got 2 or 3 of them, you've got them. Have you got a certificate from a college that might not necessarily be the GCSE, but it's something you've achieved, that you've worked towards? Have you got a certificate from a course you did online? You are an achiever. If you think hard enough, you definitely are an achiever. And it's just about counteracting your negative thought with an appreciation of the fact that there's no evidence really for why you are metaphorically bashing yourself over the head with this negativity. So you've broken through a little bit of that pain barrier, and now it's time to recognize your strengths. So in finding the evidence that's challenging why you think those negative thoughts about yourself, now you're going to dig deep and recognize your strengths. And being a woman of middle age, being in midlife, you've probably forgotten about half of the brilliant things you've done. And Even my husband says that to me. You might always be looking ahead, Marv, at the things you want to do, etc. But don't forget to look back and remember all the things that you've achieved, however big or small. Things like your weight loss journey, being able to conquer that fear of the gym, getting up in the morning and getting there, even though it's not regular, just trying to pat yourself on the back for getting there on the days you do get there. Patting yourself on the back for finishing a task at work that when you set out to do it, you were like, boy, this is gonna be a killer. It's gonna be really hard. But when you set your mind to it, you achieved it. Even if you didn't get any praise, even if anyone didn't notice, the fact that you did it when you thought it was going to be exceptionally hard is again a strength. What are your strengths? Are you a kind and caring person? Is it something that your friends say to you all the time? Do you go that extra mile for your family? Are you a whiz in the kitchen when you open the cupboard and you're like, there's all kinds of strange things in here, but I'm going to pull out all of these things and I'm going to make a fantastic meal because you are so spontaneous and you are so clever at doing that. Whatever it is, whatever the strength, even if you think it's insignificant, write it down. Write it down. And then I'm going to challenge you to put it on the wall, somewhere prominent, somewhere where you are going to see it every day, just to remind yourself that you're not a bad person. You're not someone who hasn't got any skills. You are not someone who isn't going to go anywhere. You are someone who has learned and has learned a lot over the years. And even though you might have temporarily lost that ability to grow and learn, that you can get it back because you had it once, and it'll be, like I've said before in my last video, it'll be like riding a bike. Get back on the bike again and you'll be able to make a difference in your own life and make progress. And if you want to build on that list of the things that you are good at, your strengths, then why not keep a journal so that then every day you can just make a little note of what went well today. Okay, you can reflect on things that didn't go so well, but make sure that you're building up that list of I did good today because. It's about turning attention to yourself, to work on yourself, to try and be your best self instead of looking at other people and going, they're doing better than me, they can handle different situations better than me. And hopefully it will stop you also feeling like you are stuck, like you're not going anywhere, because you are working on yourself instead of allowing your future or your predicted feelings on what people are going to think about you. This is really going to sound a bit kooky, but celebrating your achievements is important. Women in general, I think, and particularly when you're feeling down on yourself, which is very, very common when you're menopausal, when your hormones change, we often play down our achievements or will attribute them to something other than our own strengths and our own determination and our own intelligence and our own well-directed efforts. In British society in particular, there is a feeling that if you celebrate your achievements, you are being braggadocious, you're being conceited, you're being big-headed. I think it's time to get over that, because if you don't celebrate your achievements, then what are you doing? You're putting yourself down all the time, and you're pushing yourself down and down and down deeper into a hole from which it's going to be even harder to dig yourself out. And the thing is, I remember doing this from a young age, just celebrating my achievements. And it was lovely when I used to get my school report and the teacher would go, Marveline's very good at school today. She was very quiet and she did her books and she was very smiling, happy and nice to everyone. And I'd look at this report and my mum would be super proud and I'd be proud that she was proud. And yeah, you know, from that young age of being at school, 5 or 6, yes, you were being validated by a teacher on what someone else thought of you, but you got a sense of the fact that you were doing something good and you were capable of something good. So if you are great in the garden and you've managed to help plants grow by using the right fertilizer and potting them in the right pots or putting them out with the right amount of See how I don't know anything about gardening? With the right amount of compost in the ground, and you've nurtured plants and flowers and herbs, you have achieved something. Listen, I cannot do that. I haven't got a clue in the garden. I can just about pull the weeds out of the garden, okay? You might be good at music. You might be great with an instrument. You might not necessarily be good at writing stories, but you can write songs. You're good at lyrics. You're good at poetry. You're cerebrally intellectual. You could be great at writing stories. What is it? What are you good at? Celebrate those things in life that you are good at. How do you celebrate them? Celebrate them in a small way. Celebrate them in a lavish way, whatever you please. You want to go out for a slap up meal with your best friend at the Ivy or the local restaurant that's got the 5 stars? Do you want to be good to yourself and take some time out from your job, have a day off, go and have a spa day, or sit at home and binge on a couple of episodes of your favourite programme or a new series that's come out, or buy yourself a cake, coffee and cake at your favourite coffee shop? Do something once a week to celebrate your achievement and to kind of mark your progress, because if you're getting into these hacks, you're going to start making progress. I can pretty much feel it. And I've experienced that progress, and it does work. So those hacks really are, let me say, the foundations for the next step, which, hey, it's going to be a little bit painful, but it is what everybody talks about. And you will be rolling your eyes when I tell you what this is. Step outside your comfort zone. Stepping outside your comfort zone feeds very much into the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. The fixed is, well, better the devil you know, I'm just going to stay here, I'm all right as I am, even though it might mean you feel even more low and even more depressed and you feel like you're going nowhere, versus the growth mindset. So I'm going to try this because I might grow and learn. It might be painful. I might fail, but practice makes perfect. But I'm going to keep going because potentially there's progress that way. And that very much aligns itself with Carol Dweck's research around fixed and growth mindset. And also it speaks very much to Culp's theory of learning through experience. Doing, learning, reflecting on the experience, whether it's good, whether it's bad, altering, growing, doing it again, that model that goes around in a circle. Getting out of your comfort zone means you're testing your limits, you're pushing your limits, you're learning more about the world around you, and you really will be learning more about yourself and your capacity to learn and grow and develop and progress and get out of that stuck mindset where you're listening to your inner critic. It really is time to silence it. Practicing self-compassion. Again, this is going to be hard for you, particularly if you are used to this inner critic going, well, you're all washed up, aren't you? Yeah, no one's going to hire anybody in their 50s. Who's going to want a menopausal woman? Hot flashes, needing the loo every 5 minutes, anxious about every new task we give her. Ugh. If you're listening to that every day, every hour, practicing self-compassion is going to be very hard. But you start in the way that I suggested around, celebrating your achievements, writing down your strengths, taking that bit of time for yourself, and it can be anything. And there's all the social media trends around self-care, girl, but it is not without meaning. So is it yoga? Is it going to the gym? Is it going for a treatment? Is it just taking yourself for a walk in the local park? Anything like that just makes sure that you look after yourself. Doing what you can to get a good night's sleep. Sleep is healing. Sleep is medicine. Boy, oh boy, when I don't sleep properly, my life is a mess. I listen to my brain when I want to sleep. I don't keep myself up too late. I do everything I can to get to sleep, whether it is a bedtime tea, a tea with valerian root in it so it helps me go off to sleep. I listen to a soothing guided meditation podcast to go to sleep, and I've got a lovely channel with a whole range of guided meditations for you. Some of those might help you sleep. Or I will listen to some of my favourite classical music, something soothing. I'll make sure that before I even get into bed, I don't have any screen time, any watching of any programs, because that means my brain is racing like crazy. I try to bring myself down and easy and calm into a restful sleep. It's not always easy, but it is something that if you're struggling with is worth trying to do, to try and find out different ways that you can wrangle your bedtime routine to make sure you get a good night's sleep. My last hack really is about surrounding yourself with supportive people. That might be just making sure that you're reaching out to friends who are confidants, who are your ride or dies, that you can really tell everything to, and you're sure that they're not going to go laughing or sniggering to other people about, right? Or grow a network. If you haven't got a network around you, try and grow a network of people. There are networks online, there are meetups where you can find people in your local area. There might be something connected to your gym through a new class that you've started, and you develop friends from there. But there are also some great online communities as well. Again, try and find them in your area that might be linked to a hobby that you've got or your profession, where you can go and network with people online in the online space, or meet up for a drink or coffee or a meal. Try and grow your friendships and relationships. And also, if you feel that with those tasks around identifying and trying to challenge the negative thoughts, you feel that there are much deeper issues at play, then perhaps it would be a good idea to look at counselling, speaking to your GP to see whether or not you can access a trained counsellor or therapy. And again, you can see whether or not your local health service offers that. And if there's a waiting list, then perhaps try and see someone privately. Yes, it does cost, but is there a way that from the money that you earn, or perhaps for some savings, you can work out what the cost is of a professional counsellor or a therapist, and weigh up whether or not it is worth delving into your savings or trying to earn some extra money to pay for those sessions, because ultimately that clinical professional is potentially going to be the breakthrough, the difference between you feeling stuck and feeling anxious and not going anywhere and getting sadder and sadder about your situation, and going through the door into progressing, feeling better about yourself, feeling much more positive about the outcomes for yourself, and that you are moving forward. And that is a decision that only you can make, but hopefully it's something that you will feel much more able to make at the end of this process of following all of these hacks. If you feel you're getting value from my channel and what I have to say about the lessons that I've learned and the things that I am learning about being a digital creator, and how I know that you have innate power and resilience to live your best life, then please hit like, subscribe and the notification bell to make sure that you can see all of the next bits of content that I release here on YouTube. I did say I've got 5 hacks for you, but what I didn't tell you is I got a little bit of secret sauce. One more hack for you that has worked for me over the last few years, and I think might work for you. 2 weeks of mirror work and affirmations that you can have a go at. Links in the description box if you want to get hold of that as well. And if you do, let me know how it goes. You can do it. I believe in you. You've got internal power to boost your self-confidence, to kickstart your self-belief, which will put you on the road to doing anything you want to do. And if you're interested in finding out more about how you can reinvent your working life and the lessons that I've learned from all of the careers I've had, then these might be for you. See you soon.